Coming up on AgweekTV, USDA provides the first look at crop production estimates for 2020.
We'll talk about crop residue management in North Dakota with a late planting season.
After a challenging planting season in 2019, Iowa farmers are planting in record time. And Minnesota producers look for homes for unprocessed hogs. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. Planting has been delayed in northeast North Dakota due to wet soils and poor field conditions left after a tough harvest last fall. Farmers are getting impatient, but some may have an advantage when things do get rolling due to no-till practices. Katie Pinky explains in this week's AgWeek cover story.
Right now we're trying to get in the field, and patience is wearing thin in the area. We have a lot of fields that are not touched, and we're scratching the surface where to begin.
This year in eastern North Dakota, planting is far behind the rest of the region.
This spring is a critical opportunity, or a key opportunity, to try doing some no-till or some minimum till.
Mark Huso and Scott Huso are brothers and work together. Mark is a crop consultant, Scott is a farmer.
We try to raise many different crops to help build up the soil structure. So pinto beans are a major part of our crop plan. Look at that right there. That's what I'm talking about when I say pathways. So that's how your water gets absorbed. But then you take the piece of soil and it just crumbles. Soil that breaks apart in your hand like that, that's a good place to put a seed. I mean, if I'm talking to a conventional till farmer and they're curious about what to do, I would say don't go cultivate that soybean ground. Don't go cultivate that pinto bean ground before you seed it.
With the late planting season in eastern North Dakota, it's a good time to look at minimum and no-till practices.
A farmer could easily come into this field and plant wheat without doing anything to the ground. That would be my first step. Just try it. One less cultivator pass. Try one less chisel plow pass.
Ideally, the cattle would be grazing the corn stover in the fall. It was combined in March, however, and now they're grazing in May.
One thing that moving forward that I should do is plant some type of cover crop out here, so as soon as we get the corn combine, there's more nutrition out here than just corn stover.
Whether it be edible bean ground, corn stover, or wheat stubble, there are opportunities for minimum till practices this spring.
Traditionally, these are the first fields we're on in the springtime. Right now is not the case. About half our edible beans in this area did not get harvested. So we still have standing pinto beans and black turtle beans in this area. So these fields are going to take longer to dry out. We're hopeful soon this week or early next week we'll be able to plant these fields.
From Monetta, North Dakota, this is Katie Pinky for AgWeek.
You can read more in this week's AgWeek magazine or at agweek.com. While farmers in the northern Corn Belt are again struggling to plant this spring, the scenario is just the opposite in Iowa. Farmers are planting the crop in record fashion there, with 91% of the corn and 71% of the soybeans seeded on May 10th. Kevin Ross farms in western Iowa and says last year was one of the slowest planting seasons in the area, and this year was one of the fastest.
You know, a lot of folks are getting done before Mother's Day, and hearing a lot of people say that's the first time they've ever done that, or everybody's way ahead of schedule, especially compared to the last couple of years for sure.
Emergence has been a little slower with the cooler temperatures. 33% of the corn and only 6% of the beans have emerged so far. Temperatures dropped below freezing in parts of the Corn Belt several mornings this last week. However, there isn't much concern about freeze damage to row crops. Agronomists say very few soybeans have emerged, but they can withstand 5 to 10% stand loss and recover. While there is corn up in the region, the growing point is still below the ground.
The earliest planted corn may see some frost injury, but it's small enough yet that I think it'll grow right through that, no problem. Very few soybeans are emerged. There's a few cracking the surface, and those are still in a very freeze-resistant stage.
Spring wheat was more at risk, with 36% of the crop emerged in South Dakota, 41% in Minnesota, and 4% in North Dakota. A bill has been introduced in the Senate to increase the amount of negotiated cash cattle packers must buy. Farm state senators offered the legislation that would increase competition and transparency by requiring a minimum of 50% of meat packers' weekly volume of beef slaughter be purchased in the spot or open market. Meat processing plants are slowly coming back online, but for Minnesota pork producers, the supply is still exceeding slaughter capacity. The Minnesota Pork Producers Association is getting many calls from consumers looking for hogs to butcher, so they're working to link them up with farmers in their local area and trying to find locker space.
Locker plants are filling up so fast. They're just on a normal basis. They don't have that many pigs coming through in a week. And right now there is just a flood of pigs to the market. So people are trying to get in, they're trying to help out, and there's just not enough locker space.
She says linking consumers with pork producers helps decrease the number of hogs that must be euthanized. It also connects consumers with the local farmers producing their food. USDA has started to purchase $3 billion of dairy, meat, and produce from farmers as unemployment soars and demand at food banks rises. That includes $317 million in dairy products as part of the Farmers to Families Food Box program. Amounts are expected to rise in the months ahead, and products will start being distributed within days. The purchases will help stabilize the milk market, which dropped hard with lower demand tied to COVID-19.
I'm thankful that the government hasn't decided to buy product and put it in warehouses, because it just comes back to haunt us.
Post says very little milk was dumped in the I-29 corridor, which is tied to excellent processing capacity in the region. COVID-19 is underlining the dependence of American agriculture on foreign workers and temporary guest laborers. Diane Charlton is an ag labor researcher. She says in 2019, prior to the pandemic, about 10% of the ag production workers in the U.S. were here on H-2A guest worker visas. But those numbers are down this year because of travel restrictions. Not as many crops and industries in the northern Great Plains use those workers. The biggest demand for guest workers is in labor-intensive crops like fruit and vegetables, mainly on the West Coast.
The employers who do use H-2A workers, even if they hire relatively few, really depend on those workers. So this is a really important problem, even in these states where you have relatively small demand.
She says some of the interview requirements for the H-2A program have been loosened because of the pandemic. Up next on AgweekTV, USDA provides the first glimpse of new crop production. We'll have market analysis.
For home delivery of AgWeek, log on to agweek.com or call 800-811-2580.
Make sure your farm equipment is season ready with an uptime inspection from your Titan Machinery service professionals. Titan Machinery's team of Case IH certified technicians has the knowledge and experience to find, correct, and prevent mechanical issues that could shut you down during the season. Your planting and harvest windows are short. For genuine Case IH parts and service, schedule an off-season uptime inspection at Titan Machinery today. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer.
When planting season comes around, time is precious and you don't have a moment to waste. This spring, keep your planters rolling with a user-friendly seed tender from Northstar Ag. We have seed tenders for every size operation from Meridian, Unverferth, and J&M. Northstar Ag also sells a variety of Valmar spreaders, the leader in air boom delivery. Uptime is crucial. Keep your crew in the field longer with a fuel trailer from Thunder Creek. Visit NorthstarAg.com to see our complete new and used inventory or give us a call.
Your local North Dakota Case IH dealer about the new Speed Tiller high-speed disc.
This is Dennis Belisky reminding you we do auctions and we do them well. You've built your operation with hard work, and when it's time to sell, all or part, you deserve the best. Details from repairs and preparation to promotion and settlements are not routine. Chances are you'll only do this once, so we'll tailor an auction just for you and get it done right. On-site at your farm or added to one of our highly successful Alaris Center auctions, we have the skill, reputation, and integrity to meet your needs with best-in-class commitment and quality service. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
For AgWeek, this is Mikkel Pates at Watertown, South Dakota.
We'll look at the positive impacts that dairy can have on the community.
A Minnesota couple has put a grain bin to a new use. Spoiler alert, it's not grain.
This elaborate system of tubing with the downhill slope is how Maplewood State Park gathers sap to make syrup.
Thanks for joining us for this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. The May WASDE report confirmed bearish new crop corn production and carryover with a 3.32 billion bushel ending stocks figure. Old crop stocks were nearly unchanged. USDA increased old crop soybean carryover by 100 million bushels due to slower exports, but had a fairly bullish new crop ending stocks estimate at 405 million bushels. And wheat production came in largely as expected at 1.866 billion bushel, with new crop ending stocks at 909 million bushels, which is below last year. Joining us with report analysis, DTN lead analyst Todd Hultman. The May WASDE report, our first look at new crop production and ending stocks. And on corn, we were anticipating a bearish number, maybe not as bearish as we anticipated, though.
No, there was some room. It could have been worse. But overall, 3.3 billion bushels of ending stocks in corn is still a very big number. It's the biggest USDA estimate since the 1980s, and it's hard to argue with. We're stuck with a 97 million acre planting estimate left over from the March survey. The demand estimates that USDA is currently using right now is very optimistic, I would say very generous, and that may not prove out over time.
So is it likely that we have put a low in the corn market?
It may be for now. We're seeing some bullish hints of commercials being more actively involved. I like how the May contract is trading above the July. So for the time being, it's very possible that corn prices have been beaten down about as much as they can for now. I'm concerned more about later in the year as we get to know more about what harvest might look like. Those lows in new crop could still give way.
And the soybean ending stocks figure was down around 400 million bushels, which is quite aggressive, isn't it?
It is, and I think there's a couple things that help USA get to that number. Number one, they're still using a planting estimate of 83.5 million acres from March. That may be a little light given what prices have done since that March survey. The other thing is USDA gave a pretty generous export estimate, up over 2 billion bushels. And that's maybe hard to achieve unless we get better cooperation from China.
So we could go up. This could be the lowest mark for ending stocks for the year here.
I think it probably will be. We're going to have to prove that stocks can come down before we can really get too confident about that.
And what about wheat ending stocks and production? Those came in fairly close to trade estimates, didn't they?
Roughly 900 million bushels of ending stocks is still close to that billion bushel mark that we've been stuck on for several years. And actually the demand estimates, I think, in this case were fairly reasonable from USDA. And they're starting out maybe lowballing exports a little bit, but I think that's fair to do on the wheat market.
All right, thanks for joining us, DTN lead analyst Todd Hultman. Still ahead on AgweekTV, why organic farming is a bright spot in agriculture. And later, a South Dakota ranch is recognized for their conservation efforts.
Dynaflow is the ultimate high-volume water management pump. Whether you're experiencing flooding, emptying sloughs, transferring ponds, or working on irrigation, the Dynaflow pump works in as little as 18 inches of water and is designed to move 3,000 gallons per minute. The Dynaflow lift pump is the perfect upgrade to your drain tile system. Using line shaft turbine pump technology, these pumps are made to last while operating efficiently. Dynaflow drain tile pumps can move up to 1,500 gallons per minute, up to 3,400 feet away.
When it comes to grain storage and handling solutions, one call does it all. Gateway Building Systems, the #1 Brock bin dealer in the U.S., is locally owned and provides turnkey convenience with factory direct product, complete design services, and in-house construction. Now's the perfect time to take advantage of discounts on Brock solid bins, grain dryers, and aeration systems. For more information, go online to gatewaybuilding.com or call 1-800-747-4499.
Dig, lay, and bury drain tile all in one pass with the Crary Tile Pro Plow. The Crary Tile Pro Plow lays tile up to 7 feet deep with boot sizes of 4 to 12 inches. Advantages of installing drain tile to your field provides increased overall yield, improved soil moisture levels, and controls soil erosion. It pays to tile with a Crary Tile Pro. To locate a dealer near you, visit www.crarytilepro.com.
Be ready for the challenging field conditions you face with the Summers VRT Renegade. With on-the-fly adjustment, including blade angle from 0 to 19 degrees, the VRT Renegade gives you unprecedented flexibility for the field results you want, spring or fall. go to summersmfg.com or visit your local dealer to learn more about the VRT Renegade and North America's broadest line of tillage equipment from North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing.
Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. Welcome back. While these are trying times in agriculture, there are some bright spots. An industry expert says organic producers are still doing all right. Ryan Curry is with Macaris, which provides information and analysis to the organic industry. He says prices for organic and non-GM commodities dropped over the last decade, but the organic sector has been boosted with more people cooking at home. Consumer preference is shifting to organics, and he expects that to stay strong. Plus, the market isn't affected by some of the pressures on the conventional market.
Our prices are holding up better than the prices in the conventional sector. Organic profitability is holding up better than the profitability in the conventional sector. And we're exposed to fewer risks. Things like loss of export markets don't impact the organic sector. The collapse in fuel use and the collapse of ethanol as a result do not impact the organic sector.
He does say organic corn and wheat are on a bearish trend right now because of larger than expected beginning stocks and more harvested acres, but overall, the outlook is good. Cold temperatures have slowed planting and emergence in the region, but the trend is starting to warm up. Here's John with our AgriWeather outlook.
Weather portion of Ag Week. This week we're moving on into May, and finally we're starting to see a big surge of warm weather up into the Great Plains states, even into the northern plains. How long will it last? We'll talk about that. The warm surge will likely set off a few spring thunderstorms. The stuff that's been in Texas and Oklahoma will finally come into the northern plains for a bit. We'll talk about how widespread that will or will not be. And obviously from the conclusion that I'm getting to here, it's not going to be all that widespread. We're starting to get to the point now where even though the soils are still fairly wet, we may start looking at some soils being too dry across the Corn Belt and the upper Midwest if we get into hot weather, which we're not really seeing much of yet. Jet stream right now still doing its meandering west to east flow, but a ridge of high pressure building up into the northern plains this week will allow a surge of warm temperatures north, and by warm this time we're talking 70s, some spots near 80s, not a lot of widespread 80s here, but there will be some temperatures into the 80s. This type of a pattern usually brings some stormy conditions on the western side, especially when the jet crashes a bit, so we'll check out that. There will be pockets of hot weather. By that now, we're into May now, so by hot weather, we really are talking weather that is consistently around 90 or so or above, and that's mostly going to be in the usually hot places of the country. This warm air, though, moving east, and as the ridge shifts into the eastern United States, the eastern seaboard, the eastern Corn Belt will be in line for some very warm conditions, over the next, especially the second part of this period. So it's going to be fairly warm in the Midwest and into the eastern Corn Belt. We're also going to see, interestingly enough, we're also going to see some stormy weather setting up in spots across the northern sections of the Corn Belt, becoming a little more showery down into the south. And as this ridge builds northward into the northern plains, there will likely be one round of pretty heavy thunderstorms into some parts of North Dakota, Manitoba, Saskatchewan. It's not going to be widespread, though. And this dome may shift a little bit northwest, southeast, depending on where the front sets up, but it's not likely to be huge. There will likely be some snow, a late May snow, parts of Montana up into southern Canada sometime late this week. Now, the second week of this period, we're starting to see still some showers and stray storms, but not a lot of widespread moisture into the northern plains. So even though now it's only May, the warm temperatures we're showing are not going to be excessively hot, and the grounds are generally fairly wet because of winter snow that's melted and a fairly wet pattern that we had earlier in the spring. If we continue to be fairly dry like this, as warm weather arrives this summer, there will be the concern some spots are just a little too dry.
Small or large, Superior Grain Equipment has a storage solution for you with a wide variety of bin options and accessories, along with site planning and superior customer service. Plus, from top to bottom, we offer the industry's best bins and warranties to protect your products and your grain storage investment. Get superior quality, protection, and reliability with generations of experience and dependability. Make the superior choice today with Superior Grain Equipment.
Modal's Truck and Trailer Sales builds customized trailers to fit farmers' needs. Whether you're spraying, fertilizing, or planting, we build 28-foot 2-tank trailers all the way up to 48-foot 4-tank trailers and plenty in between, including field-ready drop decks, flatbeds, and enclosed reefer trailers. We have plenty of inventory ready to go at our Wheaton, Minnesota location, but if you don't see what you're looking for at modalsales.com, give us a call and we'll talk about building you the perfect trailer.
2020 has started off where 2019 left off, with a lot of uncertainty and concern. Is your farming operation ready to take the volatility this year has to offer? Do you have a marketing plan in place to take advantage of opportunity? Are you finding it hard to separate the noise from the news? Talk to the professionals at Martins & Ag. We can help you make sound risk management decisions that will help your operation survive during these unusual times.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
AgWeek brings you timely agriculture news from field to fork in digital, print, and television. Fresh every week, join Jenny Schlecht from the AgWeek editorial team and me, Al Windmill, from the sales and marketing team for a deeper dive into farm and ranch stories, along with guest interviews with personalities from the world of agriculture. If you're involved in farming, ranching, or agribusiness, the AgWeek podcast is the show for you.
Demand is up at food shelves and food banks around the country, but many have had to quickly shift how they distribute food. Channel 1 Regional Food Bank serves 200 food pantries in 13 counties in southeast Minnesota, serving 8 million meals a year. But distribution has changed because of the pandemic. They've been packing emergency food boxes to minimize contact, but that has limited the amount of fresh food they can give out, and that means they've had to buy more shelf-stable food.
And it was something that we're working around to figure out how we can still distribute as much produce as we'd like, and milk and dairy and all these things, while staying safe. And a lot of times these food shelves too don't have necessarily the refrigeration to kind of hold it until they can figure out what they're going to do with it or how they're going to distribute it safely.
Sun says they've seen demand double since the pandemic started. Blair Brothers Angus Ranch is this year's South Dakota Leopold Award winner for their family's conservation work. Ranchers Ed and Rich Blair and their sons Chad and Britton are being honored for their conservation practices, including transitioning their land to rotational grazing systems. They've seen rangeland improvements with the changes, which allowed them to increase their stocking capacity. That's improved the ranchers' bottom line, even in years when western South Dakota received only 4 to 6 inches of rain. The Blairs say ranchers can find ways to implement conservation-minded approaches that fit their own land.
Everybody needs to implement some sort of grazing system, and there's a lot of tools out there and a lot of info on it. And best thing to do is start small and keep growing.
The Blairs plan to invite the public out to take a look at their operation, but don't know when that will be. Coming up on AgweekTV, a future farmer takes concerts to YouTube during the COVID pandemic.
Luckin Trucks and Parts sells quality used parts for all makes and models. With over 50 acres of trucks and parts and new inventory arriving daily. Family owned and operated since 1966, Luckin's specializes in the sale of quality used medium to heavy duty truck parts as well as pre-owned trucks, trailers, and construction equipment. If it's on a truck, we got it. Call us today and let us get you your part.
We have products that no other companies have. That gives us a bit of an advantage and a bit of an edge, and it provides some security to our customer base that we've been here, we're here to stay, and we want to still provide these new innovations to the customers today. It's cold granulated products where we're putting together multiple nutrients. We've got products in our Micro Essentials lineup that contain sulfur and zinc, and we also have products on our potash side which contain boron, which is a newer product for us, which is called Aspire.
When planting season comes around, time is precious and you don't have a moment to waste. This spring, keep your planters rolling with a user-friendly seed tender from Northstar Ag. We have seed tenders for every size operation from Meridian, Unberfirth, and J&M. Northstar Ag also sells a variety of Valmar spreaders, the leader in air boom delivery. Uptime is crucial. Keep your crew in the field longer with a fuel trailer from Thunder Creek. Visit NorthstarAg.com to see our complete new and used inventory or give us a call.
We're going to talk today about a revolutionary auto steer product that you guys have developed.
We back one of these things in, it'll drain a 40-acre patch just within hours.
What can you tell us about what dairy farmers do to make sure that their animals are happy?
Their care is our primary concern.
Is there still time for producers to get storage bins up?
Absolutely. We still can definitely get something up and ready for corn harvest.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
He calls himself a farmer and singer from Annetta, North Dakota. We would call him a day brightener. At 6 years old, Herlof Huso is already a seasoned performer. He regularly holds concerts for family, friends, and fans around the region. But since the pandemic is keeping him at home, Herlof has been busy recording and sharing concerts from his living room. He calls them washing hands and singing jams. You can find them at herlofhuso.com.
I started a ukulele when I was 3, but then I started guitar when I was 5. When I was just on the edge for 6, I got this guitar.
You may recognize the name. Earlier in the show, we talked to Herlof's dad, Scott, about field residue. Thanks for watching this week's edition of AgweekTV. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. As we say goodbye, we leave you with more music from Herlof Huso. Have yourself a great and safe week.
To rise early and sad, they got a much bored. I sit down, no harm, makes me family. They're all filled with a new job. They got well done. When the ones on the fields and all see you talking.